Greetings, it's Vaygrim, and I'm here to talk about the new patch notes for open beta for Wildstar. Now, Wildstar is kicking off open beta tomorrow, which is going to be May 8th, 2014. That is going to be a Thursday of all weird things, but at present, we have a new patch that's already up. Good news. They have raised the level cap. I believe it was either 22 or 24 previously. It wasn't very high. They boosted it up to 30 for now. You can also reach an additional higher tier of trade skill. And the path cap has been increased to level 20. Even better news for all of my European viewers. We have German and French language options. They've implemented an overflow system. And I just wanted to go over some of these other points here real quick, some highlights. Specifically, I wanted to talk about the overflow system in the patch notes itself. Now, you'll notice right here, let me see if I can highlight it, right there. It says, an overflow system has been implemented for Alizar and Olysia, the continents. This means that when the population of the main continents reach a certain threshold, a separate version will be spun up to distribute players. Now, I don't know if any of you out there have ever played a really good, but unfortunately now closed, MMORPG called City of Heroes. City of Heroes used a very similar prospect. They had instances of the zones if a certain critical mass of players got reached. This meant that, and it says it right here, the goal of this is to keep the main continents as full of life as possible without the continents becoming overpopulated to the point that gameplay is affected. They're wanting to keep a lot of life in those new continents, but they don't want to have so many instances that there's nobody in. It seems like they're empty. They also don't want to have one instance so full that performance gets to be suffering. It gets harder to complete quest objectives, or there's just too many people walking around. These copies will behave similarly to the new zones, the early zones, the Northern Wilds, Everstar Grove, Crimson Isle, Levian Bay. In that players who are grouped together will end up in the same version when transferring to it. If you group with players that are already on separate versions of the continent, the sync to group button will bring you the same version. So that's going to be important. If you guys start opening up and you want to try out the open beta, you remember, if you go to the Wildstar webpage, wildstar-online.com, and you can actually request an open beta key even if you haven't bought the game yet. This means that you and your friends can get together, try it out all at the same time, decide if you like it, and you've got a good week or so to test things out. Now, I firmly encourage you do that because you're going to want to see if this game will even run on your machine because it does have some pretty steep requirements. They have redesigned a lot of the video options and a lot of the options in general. I think in order to graphic optimizations for SLI configurations, I think they've tried to improve performance in general, but it's still the fact that this game is pretty intense in terms of server performance because it looks so pretty. So keep that in mind. In mind right now, what we want to look at is actually some of the other patch notes, some of the improvements. Like for one, they have actually improved the behavior of the launcher in terms of how it reacts with Wildstar 64. This one thing that makes me very happy as a person that runs a 64-bit operating system on a PC. Wildstar, it's very smart of Carbine Studios, the developers, to embrace 64-bit. World of Warcraft has a 64-bit client, but I don't know of many other MMOs that actually have 64-bit. What that means is that you can use more of your system RAM, more memory is accessible to the client, which is always a good thing. That means that you can actually have more going on, more details getting loaded up into active RAM, and that's very, very great. They've optimized a lot of the interface, but especially the guild interface. That's a really good option. Let's see. Some other things that have actually improved: updated the camp and logout dialogues with pre-order information. So people that are actually logging out will get a prompt for getting more information for pre-order. I think that's kind of smart. Groups now update correctly after leaving a battleground, and players should no longer encounter missing group members. Let's see. Fixed a very rare crash when loading characters into the world. It's always good. Mounts will now ignore the hold to continue casting button, fixing their usage while this option is set. There's a lot of really good things in here. You see some abilities that have been boosted. Fixed an issue that allowed this ability to interrupt itself. Wild Barrage for the Spell Slinger. Stalker abilities added a 1-second cooldown to the Stalker's stealth while out of combat. I think that's pretty good, so you can't just pop in and out of it constantly. And there are so many other subtle little instances and updates to things that you really need to be in game to talk about. Exile Arc Ship tutorial added a cleanup to the greenhouse quest, Green Thumb, so it despawns extra veggies that might be lying around after the quest is complete. Basically what this means is that now you don't get people running into the later periods of the tutorial with a whole bunch of extra vegetables following them around. That causes lag and it causes noise. Let's see, the Eldan security beams in Celestion will now properly display a telegraph. That was a bug that I'm very happy to see fixed. All sorts of stuff in here. Let's see, economy, improved need versus greed processing to help players prevent false all-pass situations. That's always good. User interface, this actually makes me curious. Fixed an error in the auction and commodities add-ons that occurred when closing the window while the search edit box had focus. So they're preventing some more crashes from happening. That's always a good thing. Increased the server guild operation limit to allow for more robust guild UIs. The updated art for the Datacron should no longer steal clicks from the bottom portion of the quest tracker. That's always nice. Let's see, fixed a bug where a house's interior room configuration options would be reset to default after placing or changing a plug on the property. Housing makes me really, really happy. A lot of the user interface and trade skill improvements and general stability stuff that they're doing to smooth out the actual experience for people. They're even addressing war plot stuff already, which is very, very nice. And some PvP is actually seeing some attention otherwise outside of war plots, which is very cool. So in general, I think this is very, very good. Basically, I really do encourage you guys to launch the actual game, download the latest patch today, even though the actual beta doesn't start until tomorrow. Go ahead and download the beta patch today because it's live right now and you can download it. And there's a link on the bottom of the screen that says patch notes. Go ahead and click on that and it'll bring you to this forum post right here, build 6670 patch notes as of 5/17/2014. That's a really, really good thing to read through. There might be some things in here that I'm skimming over that you're not seeing, but I think the real big thing that I wanted everybody to be aware of going into open beta is this instancing. If you start getting into some of the higher level zones and you're grouped with your buddies that you're trying to convince to play this game, don't get frustrated because you end up in separate instances. If you're grouped together, you should see a button show up. I believe it's on the left-hand side of the screen that says sync to group right there. And basically what that means is all the rest of it, when you push that, you will be synced into the same instance as the rest of the group. I believe if the leader does it, he can actually pull everybody into his same instance, but I'm not sure. The big thing is, if you push that button, you can join the same instance your buddy or buddies are in, and that's a really good thing. That alleviates some confusion. I'm also real happy to see French and German language options. I believe also for this open beta, the European data center is live, which means that all of you European players can finally start trying this game out with a lower ping rate, which will probably be really good for PvP. So, keep an eye on that. New overflow system, new language options, and they've raised the level caps so you can experience a little bit more. When beta goes live, I'm going to maybe do a few more videos, but I'm actually going to be holding off because I don't want to ruin myself on too much content. I could play this game forever, but all of these characters that we're going to be starting during the open beta are going to be wiped out before the launch. Now, just FYI, keep your eyes open on my YouTube channel for the launch. We're actually going to be using a new system that has been created by Vexitos and Terag, a real good buddies of mine on IRC. They're making a new solution for me to more easily live stream and communicate with my audience, and that's a really good thing. So I'm going to be live streaming a whole bunch the week of launch. Keep your eyes open. It's all going to be through YouTube, but I'm going to have a better chat system implemented so I can more readily ask questions and interact with you, the viewers. So, this has just been a quick cursory glance at some patch notes, and just an FYI about this overflow system. I think it's real useful, it's really good, but it could be real confusing if you don't know what's going on. So, I'll see you on Nexus when Wildstar launches. This is Vaygrim, out.